reimagining the office is a primary focus for many organizations as they look to address the ever-evolving needs of a workforce that is simultaneously looking for ultimate flexibility and real-time collaboration. It is with great pleasure that I introduce Julie Whelan. Julie is the head of Occupier Research for the Americas at CBRE. She works closely with key CBRE leadership to provide insightful and timely analysis to help clients make informed real estate decisions. Welcome, Julie.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Sure. Julie, what are some of the changes you've seen in the commercial real estate industry over this last year?
Well, Mark, leading into 2020, the economy was in a 10-year growth cycle, and that created an environment where commercial real estate was really thriving. And if we fast forward to March 2020, at the time when the pandemic really dug in across the world, the economy fell off a cliff. And as with any kind of recession, it always has an impact. Unfortunately, this time is no different. The office market has been and continues to be pretty challenged since the pandemic started. And it's really because of one reason, and that is that employees are just not visiting the office. Now, at first, they weren't going into the office because of government restrictions. And now, although a lot of offices are actually allowed to be open, many are open, but they're not operating at sort of capacity. Even within that, there are very few employees that are actually showing up to what is available. So if you look at the statistics, average building occupancy is somewhere around the 24% range on average today. And if you look at that statistic across markets, there are markets like New York that have been slower to rebound because they're so transit-oriented and dense that it's hard for people to feel safe going in and working in an office. And then there are other markets like Texas that are more drivable, that have been quicker to open, where those rates are higher. So overall, the market's now because companies are really hesitant any big decisions about real estate, especially when it comes to long-term commitments, because they just don't know how people are going to use office space in the future.
Yeah, wow, that is interesting. And with some of those data points, can you tell me a little bit how that is affected the conversations you're having with those enterprises as they plan for the future of office space?
Absolutely. So most enterprises are really studying today how their office space is going to change in the future to support what I like to call a more fluid workforce, or what a lot of people call a more hybrid workforce. Whatever you call it, it's a worker who splits their time between home, between work as in terms of the physical office, and between a variety of third locations. So this impacts a lot of how organizations have to operate. It's going to impact workplace policies. It impacts the location of where physical space is. It impacts how employees are engaging with their space, how organizations are consuming their space, and how space is designed and experienced. So basically, there's really no area of the physical footprint that isn't under intense scrutiny right now. And there's a recognition, right? There's a recognition that how employees work is different. And that has finally become a mainstream recognition, which is maybe one of the few silver linings that have come from the pandemic. And most organizations today are trying to figure out how they take this newfound recognition and actually turn it into lasting change. Now, the exciting part that they're innovating, they're creating new and exciting products and models that all of our clients want to engage with. And the one thing is true with this whole thing is that it would just be a shame to revert back to the old ways that we did things before the pandemic when it comes to work, because it would just be a waste of so many of the lessons that we've learned over the last year.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, personally, I am not going to stand for that meeting where we're in the office trying to connect one of our remote employees and it takes 15 minutes to get that done. So with that in mind, can you give us a quick take on how you see technology impacting?
Absolutely. So even before the pandemic, it was really clear that knowledge workers were so dependent on technology to conduct their work. And the pandemic has really made it evident that technology is going to really continue to be vital. So what is going to be the question is how technology in the office in organizations that do well are the ones that are going to create really awesome workplaces, because it's going to be the glue that binds together everybody. And so what we're looking at technology that help employees are soft platforms that help them collaborate when they're in the office together or apart. Video conferencing hardware that is absolutely everywhere. It needs to be everywhere in the office to help bridge the gap between the physical and the digital world. Mobile apps that help connect and or help employees connect and communicate with their organizations. And most importantly, this all has to be universal hardware, universal software. As people are more decentralized, they can't, as you say, waste time learning how to connect with all this hardware and software. And so this is just what exists today. And I think that everything is just going to become so much more sophisticated and therefore make employees so much more productive. So we're at the beginning of a really exciting time for the reimagining of real estate and how technology is actually going to make the physical office not only more engaging, but also more productive and more personal than ever, Mark.
Yeah, thank you so much. Very insightful. And thank you all for joining me on Trending Topics.